Hello gamers and future friends, I'm Blarglefar and I haven't played half of these games in my Steam library. It occurred to me the other day that I have a very simple routine when it comes to buying a game. A. Buy a game. B. Forget about it. C. Never play it. D. Repeat. Everyone knows the big ticket games, and if you ever want to hear a review about them, you can either rifle through the thousands of reviews on Steam or the thousands of reviews on YouTube. Well, I'm here to review the games that you haven't heard of and probably won't ever find a review of. These games were chosen at random, however, I did try to start out with games with fewest number of reviews to better the odds that the person watching the video has never heard of them. These are all games that were either on sale for very cheap, maybe I purchased a bundle and these games were included. Some of these were gifted from some friends, or even games I just plain bought but then got sidetracked by a new release of an actually anticipated game. Regardless of how I got these games, I got them and I needed motivation to play them. So here is episode 1 of Why Did I Buy These Games? The first game on the list is Quadrata. This is a game that was provided in the Turkey Syria relief bundle for anyone who may have grabbed that a few weeks ago. Quadrata is a 2D puzzle game that requires the player to collect the 2 blue diamonds that you see here within a limited number of moves. As someone who was a big fan of Patrick's Parabox, Baba Is You, Limelight, Campfire Cooking, and the legendary classic Chips Challenge, I enjoyed Quadrata a lot. Gameplay is limited with only 90 levels, but it is only a $5 game, and even when as low as $1 during some sales. The first few levels act as a sort of tutorial, really just how to play the game, testing players' ability to complete the level in the fewest number of moves. Later levels add a few various things that add more difficulty to it, such as portals, which just shoot the cube out at different directions, springs, which bounce the cube back once it's landed on, and traps that break your cube instantly. And there are some levels with a green box blocking your way that can only be removed after landing on a dotted green square. And the most difficult puzzles were the last few, where the block does the complete opposite of whatever your directional arrow key you click, which got really annoying. Quadrata took roughly an hour and a half to complete. If you're like me and enjoy a good puzzle game to keep the brain active, I recommend giving it a try. Second on the list is Non-Stop Raiders. Remember years ago on days when you lost your internet and the last game available was the dinosaur running and jumping over a cactus? This is that. This is the exact same concept, except now you're a knight and you have a sword attacking enemies. In terms of gameplay, this is it. What you see, this is the entire game. No boss, no other worlds, just this. There are only 2 types of enemies, little stupid puny guys with shields that do absolutely nothing. You can just run past them. And then there are these guys who raise axes and slam it down if you step behind them. There are 7 other characters you can unlock, but sadly none of them do anything other than change your appearance. Except for one, the secret agent shoots a gun instead of a sword, which was much more fun. It would have been nice if other characters provided various options, such as a sombrero guy hitting people with his sombrero, or I don't know. Sadly, unless your internet runs out and Steam brings up an error saying, sorry, error 404, all games are blocked, press spacebar to start a minigame, Non-Stop Raiders, I would say sit this one out. Up next, we have Soulflow, and before I review it, I want to make it very clear, though I don't recommend a lot of these games to anyone watching, I had fun playing them. So no disrespect to any of the developers who made these games. If anything, thank you, because I was entertained while playing them. That brings us to Soulflow. I have no idea what this game is or what the objective was. You start off in an apartment, you walk around, you change your character by greeting people. There's about 9 people total that you can be, as well as a dog. There's a time limit to the game, and once the time limit is met, the screen goes blank, you hear a gunshot, and it starts the game over. Sort of like this. It took me roughly 3 attempts to actually progress further to the end of the story by being the correct character once the time limit is reached. And when the credits finally rolled, I could not make heads or tails out of what was going on. I played for roughly an hour, and the credits rolled. And it says there's a chapter 2 coming, so they are still adding content. This may have just been a trial to a larger game prepared, but who knows. Up next on the list, we have Megarace 2. This game came out in 1996. Some of you may have heard of this game, and I might be the outcast because the top comment from Megarace 2 says, "I bought this game for nostalgia. It's a childhood game I'm happy to own." This one may have just flown under my radar since I was only 2 years old when it came out. For a 1996 racing game, I have to admit, I had fun for the limited time I played. I will say my car did not take home the gold. No, ladies and gentlemen, that award goes to the cutscenes.
They're so soft, yet resistant. Isn't that right, Beer Guts? I could be wrong, but I think he's expressing himself as we speak.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 1996 was peak gaming in terms of cutscenes. AAA titles today need to step up their game. Now, I could show you actual gameplay, as you've seen so far, but it would just be the same thing over and over. So I'd rather just show off some of my favorite cutscenes from the game. Enjoy.
You see, I believe in the sacredness of motherhood. It so happens Cindy's not my mother. There's a factoid for you.
Oh, Lance, that was such a beautiful thing to say.
Remind me to fire myself. We don't enjoy showing unspeakable violence and meat-seeking missiles, even though they may not be real. No, we do it for the money.
What's that awful smell, Lance?
I know what you mean, Cheryl. It's the enforcer. He lost. You heard Tiffany, tough guy. She doesn't want you around here anymore. I hate to say it, but she's got a point. Matter of fact, she's got a lot of them, but they're not for you, loser man.
Up next on my random game list is Guns and Fishes. First off, I do recommend this game, and I'll explain why in just a sec, but what I really recommend is just to keep an eye on the developers. Their ideas in this game were hilarious, the concept was there, and just a bit more time, and I could really see one of their games becoming a classic for me. First off, this game made me laugh the entire time. There are a total of 9 guns, all with creative thinking around them. The ammo for each weapon is a different type of fish, all with their own different spin on things. Every time I would see one of these seals, all I was thinking was, hell yeah, what kind of fish do I get to shoot out of my gun now? The first gun acts as a standard pistol. The bullet is a goldfish and launches one shot. The second gun you get is a shotgun. The shotgun shoots out a bunch of tiny fish. If anyone knows what kind of fish this is, let me know in the comments. This was good when you faced a herd of enemies. Third is a crossbow that shoots out a swordfish. This acted as a sniper to take down further enemies that may be annoying. Fourth weapon is a grenade launcher. This launched out a pufferfish that once made contact with an enemy, it will expand, poisoning all enemies around them. Fifth was my favorite weapon of the game. It was a squid cannon that once launched, locked onto the nearest target and headshot them. They got very useful in times when enemies were around a ledge or under a barrier. I said earlier that I do recommend this game, but mainly keep an eye on the developers. This game had a lot of great ideas. Nowadays the main shooters are Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Halo. All these are fine games. Halo 3 is my favorite game of all time. But these are games where you shoot, real guns and kill people. It was really nice to enjoy a game that took away from your usual guns and violence and provided an entertaining game that made me laugh with each gun, and I thank the developers for that. The only downside I had to say to this game was how janky the grapple hook was. I just could not get the fucking thing down, and I just got so frustrated where I actually stopped. But a few days later I picked it back up again, and I still didn't get the hang of it. But I did push through, and I 100% it. It took me roughly 2 hours, but yeah, keep an eye on it. Second to last game I played for this series was Frick Incorporated. This really should have been a VR game, in all honesty. I thought it was, but then I was granted with this little gem. This game can only be played using a mouse. The whole point of the game is to get your construction car from A to B, sometimes asking you to move a crate from A to B or hit a button to lower a bridge. Later levels may have had additional obstacles, but I wouldn't know. I stopped playing after half the game. This game, if you noticed in the top left, also has a timer for each puzzle, which just made it so much more unfun. It actually made me stop playing for a while until I booted it back up and realized that you can actually turn this feature off. This game was really chaotic with the controls, but in a good way. It had you frantically trying to control your car, forgetting what's what since all the controls look alike. This would have been a hilarious game if the timer was the other way. Instead of frustrating the player, timing them on a task where they already have an unfair advantage, they should have provided a rising timer to see how quick one can complete it and possibly have a leaderboard. I could have seen myself competing for some of the best times of all the players, sort of similar to how Super Meat Boy did it. Multiplayer would have been pretty fun as well. This game seems like it was built to frustrate the player rather than provide a fun experience. One player struggling is very frustrating. Two players frustrating together is comedy. I hope they keep up the idea and expand on it, and I will definitely keep the developers on my watch list. The last game on the list is Dead End Job. This game is the equivalent of someone asking you to turn Ghostbusters into a cartoon video game. You start out as a ghost hunter, you essentially go to these 5 areas, each with 5 different bosses. I will admit I did not play this game very long. Once I noticed the next location enemies repeat the previous boss moves, I could tell there wasn't much variety to gameplay, so I stopped. I know I've said this for almost every game so far, but the concept is there. It was really cool playing the life of a Ghostbuster. The animation was funny, the gameplay was smooth, the power-ups you get vary in every way imaginable. There's a disco ball that attracts ghosts to it. There's a rocket launcher that one-hits ghosts. The point is to raid a ghost-infested building and rescue these 2 survivors, but you don't know where they are, so you have to blindly walk around in each location until you find them, and then exit through the elevator. You are limited to 3 health, but since health items are excess in this game, that was never really a problem. Gameplay felt much too repetitive, with no gun variety, no character variety. There may be some further down the line, but since I didn't see any evidence of this becoming a thing, I stopped pretty quickly. You get promoted in this game after you collect X number of ghosts, where it increased a trait, or like your gun shoots faster, you gain a shield, more XP. I wish instead of upgrading a trait or my gun, it gave me an extra gun or an extra attack or anything else other than boost the equipment that I already have. I don't not recommend this game. If you happen to pick it up with a bundle or see it's on sale for a few bucks, I say go ahead and give it a try. I was entertained for the limited time that I did play. That about does it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to anyone who may have stuck around to the end. Hope you saw a game you liked, maybe even one you'll pick up. These videos and reviews may have seemed rushed, and that's because they were. These first games I chose to play for this series had not a lot of variety in gameplay, all less than $5 a game, and there wasn't too much to say. But regardless, I can cross them off as played and have a feeling of getting my money's worth. Everyone, have a great day, and I will see you on episode 2.